Hi, I'm Mike Maloney, and welcome to another CSRM podcast. Today's episode is hosted by Dr. Greg Linville.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Another CSRM podcast. And last time we heard a lot from our executive director, Dan Stoffer, and talking about CSRM continuing on two very important parts of our mission, and that was relationships and resources. And we briefly introduced two brand new staff people to the CSRM world, and we're going to get a chance to know them kind of one at a time. And so, Dan, we were talking last time about the relationships, and we have a position on the CSRM staff about church relations, right? And that's where Alston fits in. So let me just say, take it from here, Dan. Introduce Alston, get us going on what do these regional groups look like, these roundtables look like. If I showed up, what would I expect? And then a little bit about Alston's dreams and visions as well. So Dan, go ahead and take it off.
Absolutely. Well, let's start with what a regional roundtable would look like. So depending upon where you live, a typical roundtable would just look like our main goal here is to develop a network of sports ministers. And so you need someone to kind of coordinate all that. And so a simple Google search of your area of sports ministers or people who maybe are interested in that or like-minded people, could be some other parachurch organizations, FCA, things like that are like-minded. And so you find that group of people, and then you get someone to communicate, hey, we're doing this round table. Would you be interested? And so you want to really develop that contact list. And then from there, what we typically do is ask a church to host. And so if it's once a month or once every other month, if you've got a room in your church, would you consider hosting, maybe even providing a meal or something like that? Of course, people are happy to chip in. And so many restaurants now, they can send food out to you, or you can go pick something up, or maybe have somebody coordinate that for you also. And then once we're there, what we typically do in our roundtables when they work best, and of course you always want to be flexible because you may have a plan, then the Holy Spirit will lead you a whole different direction based upon need too, because our main priority is that relationship. But CSRM has so many great resources. And so we would recommend, hey, slowly go through one of our books or one of our articles or blog posts or something like that. Watch a podcast and talk about that topic. And so if you're leading that, come prepared with a few questions. If you've done ministry for any length of time, you know the importance of the art of asking questions. It is such a valuable time. And you just kind of see where the conversation goes. And so I think just good communication, building that network base and using resources could really lend itself to a really good roundtable. And so we love that vision. As Dr. Greg said, CSRM has done this for a long time. In fact, I was a part of his roundtable in the Canton, Ohio area, probably 20 some years ago, which is so painful for me to even say, but it was a long time ago. And so we want to see this developed. And so we needed someone to kind of be the point person for that. And so we hired Alston Geers. And again, he just recently joined our staff. He's fresh in all this. And we're really excited about his experience, both in athletics in the local church, and also because he's got a real excitement for this. And so I want to introduce Alston right now. So Alston, if you would go ahead and say hello, and then I'll ask you a few more questions.
Hey guys, I'm Alston. I'm excited to be here and be a part of CSRM. You know, like we said in the last one, this is my first day on the actual job. So,
well, I won't just jump in and say, tell us your grand vision to expand CSRM to places it's never been. But we'll start with the easy stuff. Tell us about yourself, your family, your background in athletics, and then we'll kind of see where the conversation goes from there.
So a little bit about me. I am 27, turning 28 here in a couple of days. Or, yeah, 28 in a couple of days. I forget my age a little bit sometimes. That's not good for being this young and forgetting my age. I've been married 2 years to my wife, Casey, and we have a dog named Gator, as I am a big Florida fan. And so we I named him Gator when I got him a couple years ago. It was between that and Wrigley because I'm also a Cubs fan, which I'm glad I didn't go with that one at the time because they're pretty disappointing right now. Yeah, I went to Johnson University in Knoxville and studied sport and fitness leadership, and got my degree there. And I know a lot of the stuff that we used was a lot of the CSRM materials. I remember I was looking for my book the other day because I still have it and I don't remember where I put it. But it was for my sport ministry class. It was called Sport Ministry Models. And I believe we used the CSRM book for that. I couldn't find it on the website, so it's probably pretty outdated at this point. But I remember it being a CSRM book at the time and hearing a lot about CSRM and a lot of other parachurch organizations at Johnson in my time there. And I graduated in Johnson in 2018, and in 2019 started my role at Campbellsville University as sports information director, where I earned a master's degree while working in sport administration. And while all that was going on, I was part-time at a church, which I still work at in Grafenberg, Kentucky, which is just basically in West Frankfort, Kentucky, which is the capital of Kentucky. For many people think it's Louisville or Lexington. It's actually Frankfort. It confuses a lot of people now. But yeah, I've done a little bit of sport stuff with them in my time there, and we're a fairly small church. We run about, right now, post-COVID, around 80 people. And so a fairly small church, but, we have the opportunity to do stuff in sports, and, having a age and in a community that loves sport has been also a blessing in that as well. But yeah, that basically in a nutshell is a little bit of the background that I have. Also played college baseball for a season at Johnson, and have worked with basketball teams at Johnson and at Campbellsville University as well.
I started really listening to you, but I checked out when you mentioned your Cubs, because I'm thinking about my Cleveland baseball team, now the Guardians, in 2016 when you guys won the World Series. So that was a painful time for me, but I forgive you for that. So yeah, you've got some experience in basketball, and you won a national championship as a coach, right? When you were coaching?
No, that was this season we won. I was doing my role as sports information director. Okay. But a lot of the guys that I had recruited in my original time there were the starters on the team. Three of the guys that I recruited in my original first season there. I believe it was 3 years ago. I believe it was 2018 when I started working as a volunteer at Campbellsville, and I was doing a lot of the recruiting, and they were the starters on the team. So,
well, that's exciting. To win a national championship and play any part in that is a pretty cool experience. So, Alston, we advertised that we were looking for a director of church relations. Just when I moved into the role of executive director, we didn't want to see that fall to the wayside. We want to see actually it develop further. And so you saw the job posting and you decided to apply for it. What about this role and what about CSRM was attractive to you?
Yeah, I go back to mentioning that, we talked a lot about church ministry or sport ministry at Johnson. That was a big part of our schooling. Being in the sport and fitness leadership at a Christian university, there's a lot of focus on that kind of stuff. And over the years, I'd kind of like put it towards the side of my brain and kind of like forgot about that kind of aspect of it. And then I was looking on the ministry website as honestly just kind of looking to see what was out there. Just, you know, God had kind of like, hey, you know, you should look at this page. You know, it just kind of popped in my head that day to go look at it. And I saw that you all had posted. I actually believe it was the day that you all posted it. When I looked and I sent an email, well, it may not have been the day that you posted, but the day it got posted on the site. And I decided to send an email out because I looked at it and I looked at the site, and I remembered the Reach gathering. I believe I was supposed to go one year, and I actually had to back out last second. But my roommate at the time that year went, and I believe it was in Dallas, Texas. And that's really what kind of got me to like, oh, I remember this organization a little bit. And then I started looking at my textbooks, and I was like, oh yeah, I do remember this. Like, it was a big part. And so I kind of reached out and, you know, saw that what you all were kind of envisioning is something that God's been putting my heart on a lot recently with COVID and, you know, churches and a lot of the stuff and the tension that's going on in our country now. And it's bringing the church together. And, you know, that was one of the big visions that we talked about in the initial interview processes. And, you know, my overall goal is to bring the churches together across the world. And I think the best way to do that, and really the best way I know how to do that, I mean, there's plenty of other ways that we could go about it, but the one that I feel I can make the most impact is through sport. And we started talking about the round tables, and I kind of was at that moment, I was like, all right, I'm ready. I'm here. You know, this is stuff that I actually want to do. And so it kind of just worked out that way.
And Dan, I can jump in and say that this is another evidence of some of our resources, but also our relationships.
Yeah.
He's mentioned two universities, Johnson and Campbellsville, and one of our former board members was a professor at Campbellsville. We've been working hand in hand with both of these universities at some points, and so if people are interested in even getting a degree in this, there's a spot on our website that they could go to and find out who offers these kind of programs and what they can get into. But grateful for you, Alston. Keep going, Dan.
Yeah, Greg, you're exactly right. I mean, we look back at our vision, and our vision has allowed us to connect with Alston here, and we're excited about that. Alston, when you think about roundtables, when you think about even in our phone conversation we had earlier, conferences, tell us what and I know you're just getting started, but I think that those fresh eyes and that fresh vision for what could be, tell us what you can see happening through church relations as we connect with other churches through conferences and roundtables and anything else that may be on your heart. Tell us your heart about that.
You know, I think back to a lot about, you know, what Paul talks about, and that's there should be no divisions among us inside the church. And, you know, like I said, a lot of places, and there's a lot of ways to connect into the local church. You could do it through music. You could do it through teachings. You could do it through VBSs. You could do it through a lot of different ways. But the one that I know was sport, and, you know, being able to bring that. And I might not be the most, you know, knowledgeable person when it comes to how to run a specific sport ministry, you know, but my goal is to come in and connect with people. And I think that's the biggest thing that people want is a connection, you know, and they want to have somebody there that can bring resources. They want to have somebody there that can help them and guide them. But, you know, at the same time, you know, I don't want to go in and totally change a place. You know, I think there has to be autonomy to be able to do it the way that your place needs it. And, you know, I think about, you know, where I'm at. It's a small community. We might not be able to do a lot of different, you know, big sport leagues. We don't have the ability to do that. But, you know, a place like Louisville at Southeast, they're massive. They have multiple campuses. They have their own full-time sport and recreation staff. I mean, it's multiple people on it. And so, places like that, they're going to be a lot different than a smaller church, or even a mid-sized church and how they do stuff. Because, growing up, we had a gym and we would do men's basketball leagues, but we didn't have a full sport ministry. We didn't have the facilities to host a full sport ministry. And so I think about how do we come together and how do we grow with each other? And I think the best thing to do is when you go into these roundtable sessions is, one, connect, be personable with people, get to know them as a person, get to know their lives, their situations. But also, I think it's a time to where you can bounce ideas off each other. Maybe what's working for one person could be a fix for somebody else's situation. And that gives you a time to grow and to be able to bounce ideas off each other. But I also think, we are all in need of a deep connection in somehow, some way, especially in the community. The church itself is a community. And sports within the church is its own little community as well. And so being able to bounce ideas off each other, grow with each other, and have that connection with other people in the world that could be struggling with some of the same stuff that you're struggling with, I think is a huge part of it. And, my goal is to be able to go around to these roundtables and to connect with people that are in, the northeast part of the country, or, Colorado's or California's, and to get to know them. I'm not going to be able to get to know every single person, and that's why we have people in that area. But to be able to go and meet with the people in that area and to be able to guide them and how to run these and see what's working in their area, because what's working in the Southeast isn't going to work what's in California. Mm-hmm. It's two different parts of the country, two different needs, two different kind of cultures even. And so what's working in other areas, and being able to help and resource our volunteers that are coming up, and, being able to pour into them and, allow them to connect in a deeper way with Christ is my goal for the roundtable part of things. As far as going to conferences, I think conferences are a huge key to growing sport ministry itself. A lot of churches go to these conferences. We were talking a little bit on our call about ICOM. ICOM is one of the biggest conferences in the world. Churches from everywhere come to that place. And to me, sports, even in the United States, could still be a mission field. Sports across the world is a huge mission field. I know we have many people across many different countries that are doing sports stuff. But even within the United States, I've ran some sports camps that were basically a mission camp. And, we went and we'd have youth ministries come in and do things. And so having that kind of background and being able to talk about how we can connect and grow deeper. And you talked about the basketball church. To me, like, that is a mission field, a church that's centered around sport. People don't realize it, but it's such a great thing. And, there's a lot of people that would say, well, that's not church. Well, church is just the body of Christ. It's not a building. It's not a place. It's where you go and gather, and it can be 2 or 3 people in the room, And so church is just the body of Jesus Christ, and we are the church of the world. And so I think that's a huge part to allowing people that see church in a negative way, and allowing them to see it positively. And sport, and we've talked about that, is a huge, huge role in that. And it could be anything. It doesn't even have to be sport. It could be, musicals. It could be plays. It could be, concerts. It could be all these different things. But seeing and breaking kind of that barrier of what the traditional church role is in Western culture, and allowing people to see it in a new light and lead them to Christ.
Well, there you have it. Welcome to the staff. It's your first day on the recording, but by the time those of us around the horn here have seen it, you'll be very experienced, 3 weeks anyway into your tenure here, and you will at that point have all the answers. by that time. Dan, any
I don't know
last
if I'll have
thing?
them all.
Yeah. Any last thing for Alston?
Yeah, I would just say this, and it's not really a question for Alston. It's more for those who are listening, and this goes for Scott, and we'll hear more from Scott here soon. But with our new staff members, really for any of our staff members, but especially our new staff members, all of our staff are funded based upon the support they're able to raise. So we're just encouraging you, if you would consider sponsoring these two as people in ministry, that anything you give towards them would help to build that base financially so that they can carry out their vision. And so there are campaigns set up right now on our website, so you can give to Scott. And also, Alston, you just heard a lot about his vision and what he wants to see happen. We just encourage you to go to csrm.org, or you can reach out to us about how you can give to support any of our staff, but especially new staff members getting started. We would be very happy for you to partner with us in that way, because our heart is for the local church. And I think you just heard that. And we know that if you're able to give to this ministry, local churches can be impacted in mighty ways. So please consider doing that and partnering with us in that way.
And for those of you that are listening to this, you won't get a chance to see it, but I'm sure that a lot of those contact information pieces will come up on the screen for those of you that are watching this. So again, thank you, Alston. And just letting you know where we're at here. We're going to wrap this segment up. And if you missed the last one, we spent a lot of time with Dan and his vision for what's going on. And he talked about our relationships and resources. And we've talked a lot on this one about the relationships and how they're forming around these regional roundtables. And we really, really encourage you to step up, at least join one of these, if not host it at your church for a month. And don't have to do it every month, but at least once a year, maybe twice. And then even that you could be the convener for that. We're only as good as we are together. And so step up. We're wanting you, whoever's listening, watching this, to step up and help with this. So we're going to wrap this segment up. We're coming back next time. We're going to talk about resources. We're going to introduce you to Scott Stedman, also new to our staff. It's not his first day, but it's maybe not even his first rodeo, but he's fairly new to CSRM, and there's some really exciting things happening with our resources. So Dan, thanks for this time with Alston. Thank you, Alston, and we'll see you next time.
The CSRM podcast is a production of CSRM and their production house, Overwhelming Victory. Dr. Greg Linville is the executive producer, and Scott Stedman is the associate producer and editor. To learn more about CSRM, visit csrm.org. For more information about Overwhelming Victory, visit overwhelmingvictory.org. The CSRM podcast is the flagship member of the podcast network Overwhelming Victory Radio. For more information on Overwhelming Victory Radio, or to listen to our partner podcasts, visit overwhelmingvictory.org/OV Radio. For CSRM Podcasts, I'm Mike Maloney. Have a blessed day.